Hi everyone, it's another day, another share, and I wanted to share with you cutting information just briefly on these two blocks that I've already shown how I did them. This one here is called a double monkey wrench, and this one here is called pig's tail. It looks like a snail tail, but the difference is this square is not a four patch. This snail tail has a four patch. A snail trail has a four patch in the center. Pig's tail does not. Okay, and the fabric that you put in the center is one of the fabrics. You choose one of these fabrics that you've chosen. So I have a teal, kind of tealy blue, and this is a bluey purple coral. So I'm going to show you or discuss with you the cutting instructions to do this. Now these were done by paper piecing, and I wanted to show you these. This is the pattern. This is the pattern for the pig's tail, and this is the pattern. This is the pattern. It comes in 3 pieces, and it will look like this. It will look like this when you print it off, okay? And the other one is all on one sheet also. I'm tempted to bring this one down to more of a 4. This is 6 by 6 finished. I'm thinking of doing this one at 4 by 4, but I'm thinking that I can't make this one bigger because I want it. This is 6 by 6. I would have liked to do an 8 by 8, but this paper is 8.5. Is it 8.5? Yeah, it's 8.5, and for some reason it wouldn't. There's margins on the printing and stuff, so I couldn't. Part of this pattern ends up on the second page, and it's not easy to piece those pieces together accurately. So, but this one, I can take this piece and print it out onto another sheet, and then have these 2 pieces and bring this up to an 8 by 8. So I'm going to be doing that, testing that soon and trying it. You will find these patterns on my website, madmoodyquiltingfabrics.com, under free patterns. So yeah, so let's get on with the cutting, okay? So if you want to see these being put together, go see my past video in the last 2 weeks. So let's go and do the cutting for, or the explanation for the double monkey wrench. So we have, where's the pattern? Where did I throw? Oh, it's over here. Sorry. So we have a square in the center. We have 4 triangles. So the square is cut at 3.5 by 3.5. The triangle is cut at 3.5 also, square, and then cut on the diagonal. So you cut it like this, and then you cut it a square like this, and then you would cut on the diagonal to get your 4 pieces. Okay, and I did 2 squares to get 4 pieces, and I just cut the squares wrong sides together. And so let me just pull this out like that. All right, so, and the same thing, same size for these triangles, exactly the same size. And now these are cut bigger than you need because it's kind of awkward not to do it. Now, to do it the exact same size, because you have to cut away. So there's a bit of waste with paper piecing, but you end up getting a much more accurate 1/4 inch on the edges, like here from this point, and you don't end up losing your points if you're a little off because you're sewing I sew beside the line. I don't sew through my paper. So the next piece is these blue pieces, and they're cut at 3 by 2. So 3 this way, 2 this way, and there's 4 of those. So you would cut, if you have your fabric folded in half, you would cut 2 and then 2. So the same thing with the backgrounds, exactly the same size, and you would do the same thing. And there you go. So that is the monkey wrench. Let me just pull this up so you can see and pull it over here. So that's the monkey wrench. Go see the video to see how the pieces are put together in this cute little block. Okay, and this is finished at 6 by 6. The fabric that I used is Lori Holt's collection called Cookbook. So go check those out on the website. So that's the monkey wrench. Now, the pig's tail was more complicated. So I'm going to show you the pieces. Now, where are the instructions? Okay. So for these large squares, not squares, triangles. For these large ones, these outer ones, you want to cut a 4.5 inch square and then cut them in half. Now, you'll take note that we need 2 of these each for the backgrounds. But for the colored fabrics, if you're using 2 different fabrics, you need 1 of each. So for the colors, you're actually cutting out 2. But for these, the backgrounds, you're only cutting out 1 at a time. So what I would do is I would cut 1 square, cut it diagonally, and then, and let me show you that, what I mean by diagonally. So this strip for the background is 4.5 inches. So, and that's for these large outer triangles. So 4.5 inches, I'm going to cut a 4.5 inch square, 1, 2, 3, 4.5, and then I'm going to cut diagonally from point to point, and then there's my 2 outer ones, and you need 2 for each. So if you want to cut 2 of these at the same time, you would cut 2 squares together, cut them diagonally, and then put one pile in one, 2 triangles in one pile and 2 triangles in the other pile. And then because these ones, you only need 1 of each. So let me show you the larger square. This again is the same. This is the outer. So what I'm doing with this, you end up getting 2 triangles. So this is what I mean. So this is 4.5. So I'm going to cut a 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. And I'm going to cut a 4.5. And then I'm going to cut this in half. And I only need, I only need 1 of these. I only need 1 of these. Okay, so I need 2 of these, 1 of these. And then I would take the other fabric and do the same thing. And for each of these, I would do the same thing. But these ones, you're cutting 2 for 1 block. So let's go over the cutting amounts. I've shown you how to do them, and the center block is a square. So the square in the center, you'd cut 2.5 inch square. For these little triangles, let me show you on these little triangles here, okay? You would need 3 inch square, and you'd cut them diagonally. You'd use 2 for background, and then you would do 1 of each for the different fabrics. Now, if you decide to do these in the same fabric, all this in the same fabric, which would be pretty cool too, then you would just cut 1 square and you'd cut out 1 block at a time. Now, I called these medium, these ones here, so these ones, you would cut 3.5 square and diagonally cut them, okay? these ones here, I called them large small, and you would cut 4 inches for these. Okay, and we covered these ones on the outside, which was 4.5. Okay, so I hope that for those of you who asked how I decide on cutting, how I decide how to cut my pieces, I just kind of measured, and this measures 3 inches, I added an inch. This one measures 2 inches, I actually added more for this one. I found that it's just over 2 inches, and I just found that 3 was just too tight, so I went with 3.5. And this one, it says 1.5 inches, but I found 2.5 just a little too tight, so I went to 3.5 for that one. And this one, 1 inch, I went to 3. And the square was finished at 2.5 inches, and I went to 2 inches. Yeah, 2.5 actually. The square was 2.5. You just kind of, now if you want to be a little tighter, you can add just an inch. I just found that it was just a little bit tight. So let's go over these amounts again. For these I cut a 4.5 inch square and then diagonally cut to get 2 pieces. And that's the same for all these out here. Doesn't matter what fabric. This one, I called it this large small. I cut 4 inch square, cut in diagonal. This one I called it a medium triangle. I cut 3.5, cut it in diagonal. This one I cut a 3 and cut it on the diagonal. And the square in the middle was 2.5. Okay? So 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5. So I hope that helps you to figure out how much bigger to make your pieces. So we will see you on the next Other Day, Another Share, and happy quilting. Bye.